So where in this lovely part of the world am I? I am on the Magnetawan River system. I just launched my canoe a little while ago at Whitewater Lake, if I'm pronouncing that right. And I'm going to be spending the next several days doing the Magnetawan River loop as per Kevin Callan's book about the canoe routes of Ontario. So I'm going to be making my way westwards down the Magnetawan for a couple days, at which point then I will loop back through a chain of lakes and portages, flat water, and make my way back in a circle route. The whole route should be about 80-85K, something like that. So should be a nice little jaunt out. Never been this way before, so I'm very much looking forward to exploring somewhere new. So one of my goals for this trip is that I would like to run some whitewater. I have not done so this year at all. I bought a new whitewater paddle this season that literally has not touched water once. And so I thought that this trip might give me the prospect of doing that at least a little bit. We're in late summer right now, so the water levels are quite low. I think they're around 17 CMS or MCS or whatever you call it, which is pretty much summertime low and down from sort of the ideal of like 30 to 40. There's a rapid up ahead here, Canal Rapids, that is, I think, a series of drops, and there's about a 2.3K portage that goes around it. Well, I certainly won't be running that dam there, but this last two rapids below the dam here, I've scouted those out. The water's low, but that should be doable. And then after that, it's a stretch of flat water. So I think I'm gonna see about going down this way and just navigating it nice and easy, scouting as I can go, and maybe trying to line my way through the last little bit of it if need be. So we'll see how that gets me. Well, those rapids probably didn't look very big, and they weren't, but it's getting late in the day. They're my first ones of the year. I'm not in a whitewater boat. My nerves were jangling just a little bit. I'm gonna pop off and have a quick scout. Looks like a small island with two lines, one to the left and one to the right. The left line looks like it's got a little bit more water. Just some small wave train down the middle, but pretty much a straight line. Not complicated. So I think I'll take this. May scrape a little paint on this next section. We will see. bad, not bad. Narrowing up again up here. I'm gonna quickly see if I can pull over or take a quick look at it. Basically a small canyon here. Looks like there's a decent little drop. This one's a little more sizable. It's two good drops. Short, but it's a small little canyon here. So portaging it up and over or lining isn't an option here. So gonna just have to take it down nice and slow. Doesn't look too gnarly, but it's definitely bigger. A little tougher to scout from here too. Nice and slow. Okay, hardest part's done. Wow. Took another hard knock there. A little bit of water. That was exhilarating. Oh. That's still a solid size class 2. A little technical too. Oh man. Woo! So this is Graves. Not too bad. It's fast, a little technical. I'm gonna have to dodge a couple of rocks. Mostly a center left line. Staying away from some rocks on river right. We are through. And on to Trout Lake, which is the destination for the night, and not a minute too soon. It is about 8 o'clock. That was pushing it a little bit. Got in a little later than I would have liked, all things considered. Definitely got a bit of a later start, and then coming in, it was a little bit of a ways to get here. And then running these rapids a little bit later in the day was probably something that I wouldn't want to do again, because I was feeling the rush of losing daylight, and so that's never a good thing. So if I was going to do something differently, I probably would have started earlier so that I didn't feel this rush going through those rapids. All that being said, running those rapids were an absolute blast. That one end part of Canal Rapids, where it's kind of that slot canyon there, was definitely at the limit of what I wanted to run today under these conditions, and I thought I handled it pretty well, all things considered. So feeling pretty happy about that, and it was really fun to get a taste of some whitewater here. Gonna get a late and easy dinner on the go and just chill out here for the first night on Magnetawan River. There's no point in being anywhere at all except back in the sleeping bag, back in the hammock right now. It is nasty outside. Pretty much wait this thing out, see how long that takes, enjoy my book, enjoy some extended sleep time. Pretty much take it easy, make up for lost time later. So cleared up quite a bit. The worst of it is kind of passed over now. A little bit windy still, but I can see the sun starting to come out, which is really, really nice. And I think the main part of that
heavy lightning and rain has passed by. So having a really late breakfast here. It's probably close to noon, and gonna pack up and just get moving down the water and just see how far downriver we get today. Hopefully the weather will hold and get nicer throughout the day.
So Magnetawan River Provincial Park is what they call a non-operating provincial park. So it's designated park status, but there's no facilities, there's no permit collection, so there's no fees, which is pretty nice for people who want to visit it. So yeah, and combine that with the possibility of, you know, launching from a public location, and you have a completely free camping trip, which is, you know, a pretty nice thing to have. I certainly don't mind paying. I don't mind contributing to the upkeep and the maintenance of parks, but you know, free is also nice. Well, now that I'm seeing trout late in daylight, it's a pretty nice lake, and there looks like lots of good spots to camp. In fact, the further I go down the lake, the nicer the sights sort of are.
Freaking ginormous caterpillar here, probably 4 inches long. What do you become?
Mountain Chutes, that was a slog of a portage. Not very long, but very steep up and steep down. Coming up onto Island Lake now. It's just one short little drop. Easy line. That was fun. It's pretty quiet in here. There is the odd cottage. I don't know what the road access situation is like to get at them though, because there's not many of them and it feels pretty tucked in here. Like everywhere in the Ontario bush, there's forest roads that cut all through it, so I'm sure there's a way. So after a very, very brief scout, I've determined that 3 Snye is a mandatory portage.
So this rapid here does have a decent little drop, but it looks like there's a pretty smooth tongue and not too much water roiling at the bottom, so it should be able to push right through it. And it's pretty low risk because it's just a flat pool, nothing big beneath it. So I'm gonna give it a go. Nice. This is pretty damn cool. Crossing the, I guess the CN rail tracks here. There's a bridge, so it should give a nice opportunity to scout the rapids below, and the trail kind of comes up alongside and crosses the tracks and continues on. First set below the train tracks here, below the bridge, looks pretty big. I might go down to take a little closer look at it, but I'd be surprised if I'm running it. But then after that, it goes pretty straight and flat for quite a while, so if I can even just portage over this first bit and maybe put in below this really nasty bit, I can at least get through another section and kind of reassess from there. So beautiful though. Kind of nervous standing up high like this, and I keep expecting a train to come along. So it's just the tremendous height that I was standing on that made it look way scary and had me scared looking over the edge, because now that I'm actually down at water level, this looks very runnable. Holy shit, train coming too. A little scary being beside the tracks there when the train comes, even being a little bit clear of it. It's pretty loud. That is so rad though. And it's gone. Return to the sounds of the forest. Okay, could have been smoother. There's one knock. I imagine in the springtime these rapids would be a lot pushier. I have to try and eddy out, take a quick look at it before I commit. This looks a little dicey actually. I will not be running that. This is pretty gnarly.
would chew my canoe up pretty quick. But honestly, this is pretty fun. Way better to run some of the rapids, paddle some of the flats, and then lift, bushwhack my canoe over, have a little adventure with it, than just take a long ass, muddy, crappy portage. So I'm pretty happy right now. Away we go. Woo. We're working on about one hard hit per rapid. I am going to try and eddy out before this next part here. That was a bit of a dicey move in retrospect. I eddied out right above a nice decent drop here, and it probably would have not been great for me to go over that. So now I know better. I didn't really know what these rapids were going to be like. I was trying to find out. I'm glad I ran the top bit. But if I was doing this again, I probably would have ran underneath the train tracks and then looked for the portage again, because these last two are, you know, mandatory portages, and you kind of got to bushwhack on some slippery rock right beside the rapids. So not exactly the safest place to be trying to maneuver your canoe and gear around some very quickly moving water. Well, I hope that's the last of the big stuff. Woo! Oh, a little water.
A little bigger than I expected. Last bit.
I need to do some gel coat repair when I get home. Always a good idea to carry a little bit of fire starter or something to get wood going in the event of. I didn't have any birch bark. There's none on site, as sometimes is the case when you really need it. And I didn't collect any on the way today. I thought about it, but I was, busy trying to move through, make time and paddle. But, rolling into camp late, wet day like this, just want to get that fire going and crackling quickly, so it's good to have something, of course, that will get that done for you as quick as possible. So I gave it a good college try for a second on my own with some pine needles, scouring to try and find some dry ones and then get that going, and then just said screw it, and it got blazing really quickly here. So just what I need right now. Time to make dinner. Ooh. I came up a little bit short of where I maybe would have hoped to get to, but I probably still did 20 or 21 kilometers. I'll have to double check, which is really good for starting at 1 o'clock, and did a long way for me to get back on track. So I'm really glad that I got to the bottom of these rapids. And that concludes the Whitewater portion of the trip, because now I'm going to be starting to loop back around through a chain of lakes, through flat water, and starting to move sort of south and east, and eventually back to my starting point. Didn't all go according to plan today. I put myself in a couple of dicey spots when I was coming down the last stretch here on $30 Rapids. I probably would have been smarter to portage most of that along the trail, because it narrows up into some sort of like canyon type bits where it really kind of drops, and it's kind of dicey to bring your canoe around with your gear and be able to load or safely. And I had to eddy out very close to one drop. So that's a bit of a learning experience for next time, but made it down safely, ran rapids that were within my comfort level, took a few knocks on the canoe, but otherwise felt pretty good about that, and it felt great to be able to do some moving water. Probably turn in pretty early tonight, read myself to sleep, feeling pretty bagged, but great day. Magnetawan River, nice place to be. Wow. Talk about being tired, rolling into camp last night and making a dumb mistake. I did not, I guess, pull my canoe up, tie it up, bring it up close enough to shore. And I just took a look off at the base of the rapids here, and the canoe is just floating in an eddy there. So it drifted about 200 meters away from the campsite, but through the eddy back up river. And now I'm gonna go swim for it. Okay, it's kind of floating back into me. I might not even need to swim for this thing. So that was something that was very, very, very dumb of me to do. And it makes me look pretty stupid and pretty amateur. But this is what happens when you are tired and you're pushing yourself and you kind of make some mistakes, right? I came into camp late. I was pushing a long day because I had got a late start yesterday, and I came in, I set up camp and everything like that, and I didn't pull my canoe up far enough on shore, didn't tie it up. Like, total rookie mistake. And I didn't even notice this morning when I went to go down to get water for my coffee and my breakfast that there was no boat there. Until all of a sudden I was sitting here just chilling, enjoying the start of this morning. And when I looked out over to the base of the rapids, and I see a red canoe just sitting there. And you can believe it, for a minute there I actually thought, whose canoe is that? I didn't even have to get in the water, it just floated its way right back to me as if on cue. It was a little bit weird, and I'm very grateful for whatever was looking out for me there, whether that's, you know, somebody or just sheer ass backwards luck. I've had a situation once before where in a major storm my canoe got blown off of a site and I had to swim for it, and it was definitely not fun. And I said to myself, never, never, never again. And yet here we are. So once again, Mother Nature will always have a way to humble you. Chris, you'll find yourself a way to look stupid. And yet so far, you'll still keep on trucking. So but now that it's all done, let's have a great day. This portage is not bad. It stretches through a nice little bit of maple forest, which is lovely, but it is very, very muddy in parts. Muddy bits. Just like that, we're done. The longest portage of the day, and now there's a good bit of paddling before the next one, so giddy up. I can see already that the south branch of the Magnetawan is a little more built up in terms of cottages and stuff. Still pretty light and very, very beautiful. But I suppose that's what having, you know, no major rapids will do. Make it a little bit easier to get access to. Hard to imagine what canoe tripping would have been like in a world before there was such a thing as dried mango. That is a very interesting formation of rock right there. That's crazy. You can see how the weight of whatever it was, I don't know if it was the weight, the heat, God, I don't know geology, but the way it's curved it. It's so crazy. A few kilometers more and I will be at the end of the south branch here of the Magnetawan River, and probably take a little lunch break and assess, see where I'm at, and I think after that there's a few smaller lakes with a few short portages. Isn't it the most welcome sight of all when you reach the very end of your last portage of the day? It's always a feeling of great satisfaction. Although it is a little bit jarring coming out to all these cottages here after that lovely, lovely stretch of small little lakes leading up to here. But no matter. The site is fantastic and will absolutely work for tonight. It is both intimate and has a great view. It looks out over to this beautiful marshy area where I saw a great blue heron just hanging out there as I was paddling in. And it's also on a nice piece of rock here at a point where the river kind of narrows up. So it feels tucked in, but it also is open. Yeah, tired, good honest day. Did about 26 kilometers today. I am now at Little Wilson or Wilson Lake. I can't really tell where the one ends and the other begins. And that is about where I hope to get to today, you know, best case scenario. Because I did have some slower starts yesterday and then the day before, I wanted to make sure that I made some good progress today so that my last 2 days could be also a little bit chiller. So that's pretty good. So 26K today, and I've got about 25K left, which I'm going to spread out over tomorrow and the next day. So nice chill pace, well earned, and relax time now. I'm really surprised so far at the lack of other paddlers that I've seen coming through everywhere that I've gone through. Yes, there are cottages mixed in amongst it, but not all of it. And there's still plenty of sections where it's really quiet. It's all very beautiful. And there's campsites everywhere. As evidenced by the fire pit, nobody's camped here in a while either. But I don't see why not. It's got a perfectly flat tent pad. It's, you know, got a great view. It's beautiful. But yeah, but none of these campsites are occupied. It's the middle of August, on a weekend too, to boot, and not seeing anybody else. So Magnetawan River System. Keep it quiet, I guess. I don't know. Maybe people don't like free camping. I don't know. Same chow mein as yesterday, with 33% more noodles. Slept like a log last night. Oh man, I was zonked. Got a good 9 hours or so sleep, which my body sorely needed. Bit of a cooler start this morning. There's a bit of mist on the water and a little bit of dew, and it's just a little bit of a, not a chill, but it's cooler than the last couple of days. So not a bad start to have to get things rolling here. I'll be packed up camp pretty quick here and probably on the water a bit earlier than yesterday. So enjoy these calm, cool morning conditions before the sun comes out, because it'll probably be hotter today if it's less overcast. Cardinal flower. Does that sound right? America's favorite. What does that mean? America's favorite. A slender spike of intense scarlet flowers. 2 to 4 feet. Wet places, stream banks, swamps. That tracks. Minnesota, Michigan, Southern Ontario, New Brunswick South. July to September. Well, that all makes sense. We have a prime suspect.
Cheers, Fred.
First portage of the day. Feels long. It didn't help that it had a nice steep incline to get it going. much of a fisherman, so I am a little confused. But for all the work it takes to bring these boats in and leave them at these spots, to presumably come back for them later to put motors on them to use them, but then never doing so, and then usually just leaving them to just kind of rot and rust away for a couple decades. Wouldn't it just be easier to bring a canoe in? Is that just me? Am I crazy?
Getting ready to bash out this 1.8K portage. I think it follows alongside a road of some kind, or an old road of some kind, so hopefully it'll be not too bad and not too much elevation gain. But just in case, we're gonna eat some more mango to make sure we're well fueled.
The road is alternately both incredibly sandy and an absolute mud pit. Oh. 4-wheel drive only on this road, that's for damn sure. Bit more built up on Bulger here, but very pretty lake nonetheless. See that guy back there? That was me, but no more. We're done for today. On to Maple.
These oily, fatty potatoes are so good, it's not even funny. This has been a nice trip. I have to say I'm surprised at how little traffic in the way of paddlers I've seen out here. Who would I recommend this trip for? Pretty much anybody, really. I mean, if you're a whitewater enthusiast at this point in the season, there's not much, but there's still some there. And I definitely got a little bit of a fix on Canal Rapids and Grave Rapids, and maybe a little bit too much so on $30 Rapids there, as I found myself trying to extricate around a couple of tight spots. But overall, like, there was still some exciting runnable water, and all of it's portageable, so you don't have to go through any of it, of course. And then other than that, you know, it's just some beautiful flat water stretches, some great rocky country with lots of campsites galore, and I'm sure the fishing is excellent. If I was doing the trip again, I'd probably give myself an extra day because I did have to push it a little bit at times. Other than that, it was a solid time out, and it was a part of Ontario that I haven't yet seen, haven't tripped through yet, so that's always a pleasure to, you know, unveil and explore new areas. So that being said, I couldn't have done it without the map provided by Jonathan Kelly, aka Lost Lakes, a YouTube channel that I'm sure anybody watching My Little Small Potatoes here channel would be very familiar with. He has a map on Avenza that covers this whole area, and it was invaluable. I printed topo maps, and I was using Kevin Callan's book as a reference, but that was my day-to-day getting around, and it's very accurate, and it tells you where all the portages are, and it tells you where lots of sites are, and there's many, many more sites than are listed. So I highly recommend using that map, and I commend him for doing and continuing to do excellent work out here, so thank you. Canoe trips have their ups and downs for sure, and not every moment is an absolute high, but overall it's a not bad way to spend your time. So thank you for taking a little bit of time to watch this, and I guess we'll see you next time. With more potatoes.